Story 1. Today I messed up by exercising my white privilege. My partner and I had an extra $80 burning a hole in our pockets after paying bills, buying groceries, and putting a little money into savings for a rainy day. So we decided to have a treat and spring for some alcohol. I drove the 9 miles into town and browsed the selection. There was a lot of the standard beer, wine, and bitch pops like Mike's Lemonade, etc. Right up in front, though, there was a freezer full of cute little alcohol slush packets in a bunch of different flavors like Blue Hawaiian, Raspberry, and so forth on sale for $1 and some change. Being a thrifty drunkard, I grabbed a basket full of sweet booze and went to the register to check out. I'm not a youngster and I don't look young either. I've got a fringe of pure white along the edges of my beard. So I was surprised when the cashier asked to see my ID. What I intended to say was, "I'm surprised you need to see my card. What with the white hairs here?" as I gestured at my face. Instead, what came out was, "You don't need to card me. I'm white." The way I gasped. I tried to explain what I actually meant, and it was the cringiest thing to ever come out of my mouth. I had to choke down laughter the rest of the time I was in the store, and sat in my car cracking up for like 3 minutes. TLDR, I tried to invoke my powers as a white dude to avoid being carded. Story 2. Today I messed up by landing a spot on an experienced rowing team. I've been looking into various recreational sports in my location and decided on rowing as a good way to make friends and stay active. I checked out the local rowing association and discovered that it's already too late for sign-ups/lessons and teams have been made for the summer league. This was pretty disappointing, but I still reached out to one of the team managers just in case there was a drop out or something. During our call, I mentioned I had a little rowing experience from high school. This was a total lie. I just didn't want to seem like a schmuck since I was already late and she was doing me a favor. She has a dialogue with the program coordinator, who through some miscommunication comes to understand that I'm a college rower and puts me on an experienced 3 years team. I have practice Mondays at 7:30 now, so I have a little less than a week to memorize their vocabulary and technique. TLDR, I talked my way onto an experienced rowing team now. I have a week to appear competent on the water. Story 3. Today I messed up by not getting out of a toxic relationship and now I got cheated on. I just found out that my boyfriend Kyle, 22M, just cheated on me and all my friends gave me warnings to GTFO before it happened. We've been together for almost a year and there were a lot of signs that he's a fuckboy, but I thought he'd change for me. Basically the way I found out was today he came over to hang out and I saw a Snapchat notification from some girl's name that I didn't recognize. I didn't think anything of it because he has female friends and am not one of those psycho girlfriends that doesn't let my man have friends, but out of curiosity I asked him who it was. When I asked the question I could tell he got nervous and gave me a vague answer saying she's just a friend. The thought lingered for a while about who this girl was. Fast forward a few hours later, we were taking a shower together and I figured this would be the only time I could check his phone without him noticing. Halfway during it, I told him I needed to grab my new conditioner in my room because I forgot it. Complete BS excuse. So I left the bathroom with a towel on and ran into the room to his phone. I scrolled up through their Snap convo and he had nudes of her saved from just a few days ago. I screenshotted all of the saved messages and sent it to myself for proof. After I stormed into the shower and screamed at him to get the hell out of my apartment, he tried making up a bunch of stupid excuses, but I'm so over this and just told him to get all his stuff and leave. TLDR. I found out my BF cheated on me today and didn't end things when I should have because I thought he'd change for me. Story 4. Today I messed up by looking at my watch while on a bike. Not quite today, it's been just over a week at this point. I was riding my bike on a dirt path that has a consistency similar to the infield dirt of a baseball field. I felt my watch vibrate and I took my hand off the handlebar so I could see why it vibrated. I must have hit a little rut or a rock on the pathway and then I lost control because I didn't have 2 hands on the handlebar. I wiped out and landed hard on my knee and hip. As I was lying on all fours, I tried to crawl out of the way and realized I couldn't move my left leg. I waited a few minutes to see if I was just in shock and still couldn't move it. I had friends help me roll to my side, and I was doing fine, but when they tried to roll me on my back, it hurt real bad. I got an EMS ride to the hospital and found out I have a broken hip. Thankfully my age they were able to repair it instead of replacing it, and now I'm just hoping for the best. TLDR, wiped out on my bike and broke my hip. Story 5. Today I messed up by falling asleep. So this was a mix of all the wrong things, and I genuinely feel like crap. Work was insane for me this weekend, and I hadn't seen my boyfriend in nearly a week. He works the night shift, and today he was going to come over to my house and hang out once he was done. I tidied up, got ready, did some basic cleaning, and along with a sleeping pill, I ended up basically knocked out at 3:30 a.m. However, in the past I've done this before and I do wake up, but this time I guess it was different. I expected him at 8, and I would wake up here and there and go back to sleep as I thought I had time to get some rest before he got here. Woke up at 8:10 and woke up to missed calls, texts, and my alarms going haywire. He'd gotten off early and had shown up 30 minutes early. He waited it out for over 15 minutes before he called it quits, and when I woke up and called him, he was basically back home. He says he's not mad, that shit happens and life gets in the way. But he came to my house, he waited, and in the end he had to go back. However, I right now feel like throwing up and crying, and I don't quite know how to process this. He assures me he's not mad and that we'll see each other as soon as we get the chance. But I really wanted to see him, and it'll be at least 5 days before we can see each other again. TLDR. Overslept and my boyfriend left because I didn't answer his calls or texts. Story 6. Today I messed up by waking up suddenly, went into the kitchen to cook and almost fainted. Woke up after sleeping for like 4 to 5 hours, stood up, went to the kitchen to cook, and by the time I was cutting up some veggies, I was extremely lightheaded. I felt my face getting colder, my stomach hurting, and couldn't move my hands a lot. I was about to black out and felt like taking a dump. Sat on the can for a while, still lightheaded, and came back and ditched the cooking. Read up, and I think it's vasovagal syncope, and my stomach does kind of hurt when I wake up, so just gonna lie down and see what happens for the rest of the day. Worst part is I just twisted my ankle a day back so hard that I am already limping. It didn't help when I almost blacked out. What a bad day. TLDR. Woke up early and fast with a painful twisted ankle, almost fainted on the crapper, and am lying down on the bed with a stomach pain whenever I stand up. Story 7. Today I messed up by sending a YouTube link to a customer as a case resolution. So I work in a software-related customer services role. My work involves picking up cases that our clients have raised and answering them / troubleshooting their issues with the HR software that we provide. This is normally all done via case comments / emails and the occasional phone call. Sometimes I'll also attach a link to a handy guide for the customer which I feel may be of use to them. Me and my friend are big Star Wars fans, and he's recently started playing Jedi Survivor. For those of you who don't know, this is a Dark Soulsy type of game, and boss fights are usually quite intense. In this game, the devs added in a boss fight with a guy called Rick the Door Technician. He's just a basic grunt, but when you face him, a whole health bar appears at the top and boss music plays too. He is just a one-hit kill enemy though. An Easter egg referencing the SNL live skit where Kylo Ren becomes Matt the Technician in an undercover boss-style episode. Here comes the fuck up. I was trying to explain this context to my friend at work who had just gotten to Rick the Door Technician in the game, so I sent him a link to a YouTube video of the SNL skit while I was working on a live case. I didn't think any more on this and went straight back to my open case that I was working on. I typed up my resolution to the customer's case and thought that I had copied a link to my clipboard for the guide I wanted to attach on a particular part of the software. I was in such a rush to get the work done, and in my haste I pasted the YouTube link to the SNL skit to one of our biggest customers. The client was confused and reached out and lodged a complaint to my manager. I am now awaiting a disciplinary for browsing YouTube at work and not following proper customer contact procedure. TLDR. Sent this https://youtube.b/FAOSASQLSC?SI=9 SBGYS 87CTTJEVAM SNL skit to one of our clients instead of the guide they had requested, and am now in trouble at work for not working, grinning face with sweat. Story 8. Today I messed up by managing to lose the lost episode of a radio comedy because of a USB cable. Happened back on Sunday, a few days before a friend asked me to record a radio show for him. a 3-hour show dedicated to Tony Hancock's 100th birthday, who you might know for the radio ham, on Radio 4 Extra. Sure, as a radio ham myself I have access to lots of toys for recording radio activity. Since the show was on 4 Extra, and 4 Extra was only broadcast on DAB, I decided to use my SDR, just a black box that lets you receive radio on your computer. It's worth noting here that my SDR has problems, mainly due to the USB cable, which today I learned was actually rusting. The subtlest bump would cause it to disconnect, and the SDR software doesn't handle surprise disconnects very well, forces you to restart. The other problem is the data rate sometimes slows to a crawl. The computer still talks to the SDR, but the data from the aerial starts coming across in short bursts like every 10 seconds. I did consider the possibility of this happening during the show, but I thought it was minimal because the computer wasn't going to be disturbed. I get everything up and running on the day, the SDR tuned to the correct DAB multiplex, piped into a DAB demodulator whose output is being recorded by Audacity. All good. I turn up the sound on my headphones and walk away. An hour or two later, I decide to check on it. As I walk into the room, I don't hear any sound, but I don't register this. When I saw the screen, my heart sank. There was no sound, the spectrum scope was stopped, and the waterfall, a visual representation of radio waves like an audio spectrogram, was smeared into vertical lines. A DAB multiplex should appear as a block of static. It turned out about an hour in the SDR decided it would do the problem described earlier. The data output from the SDR had slowed way down, so the DAB demodulator wasn't getting any meaningful information anymore. I quickly restarted it and let it record the rest of the show. A few hours later, I stopped it and sent the recording. Next day, the conversation went like this. Did you listen to the recording? Yes. How far are you in? You might not be happy by an hour in. Yeah, I wasn't happy by an hour in. I was wondering where Tony Hancock went, and it turned out I was listening to a totally different show. I explained the problem and how the sound-activated recording in Audacity cut the recording so perfectly you could barely realize you suddenly skipped ahead like an hour. If you listen carefully, you could hear the demodulator trying to decode some meaningful audio in the form of a digital screech. In the end, we laughed it off because I managed to lose the lost episode. I ended up buying a new USB cable for my SDR that came today, and I clipped 2 ferrites to it just in case it was an interference problem as well. Hopefully that fixes it. I found out the old USB cable had actually gone rusty when I swapped it out. TLDR. A crappy rusty USB cable caused me to fail in my duties as a radio ham to record a radio show for a friend. Story 9. Today I messed up by trusting the dog to watch the house while I enjoyed Mother's Day. I'm a 29-year-old mother in Alabama. Last night my husband, with the help of our male Pomsky, caught a possum trying to get in the dog door and scared her off. We thought that would be that. Spoiler alert, we were wrong. Well, today is Mother's Day. A wonderful day for families to appreciate the hard work mothers do every day. It was a good day. My daughter got me a lawn gnome and a cute faux flower arrangement, while my husband got me flowers, and we had a barbecue with all the moms in my family. It was a good day, till I got home. We got home a while ago and I got my girl to bed. My dog's on the couch and my husband is playing video games. I enjoy gaming too, and I want to get a vase for my flowers. I open my cabinet door and I see a small baby opossum, then 2. Then 3, apparently they made their way in via the dog door and has been exploring, and my darling dog just let it happen. It's midnight now and I just spent the last 2, maybe 3 hours with my husband, catching baby possums, putting them in laundry baskets and storage totes, checking our back in case Mama comes back from her Mother's Day spa trip. Each baby was different. One ran the 1,000-yard dash on sight till I got his tail. One just lumbered around but kept trying to get out of the basket, so we had to turn it over. And one was ready to go. Little Spitfire lunged at my husband a time or two and did not stop hissing at us. All this while praying my wild child doesn't wake up, so we don't have to explain that we cannot keep the babies. I think we got them all. I can't see anymore. I get only time will tell, but at least I have a story for later, and pictures. Have a good night. TLDR. I enjoyed Mother's Day and a mother opossum left her babies in my house to babysit, and my dog just let it happen. Update. It's currently 6 in the morning and another little guy made his way in and got in my dog's food bowl. Apparently that is what was needed for my furry son to do his job, because he came in and got my husband up. With one more sweep, he found one more, bringing the total to 5. Rather cute little marsupials with B&E charges. And Mama hasn't been seen yet. He couldn't handle 2 at once, so he had to get me up, so I came out of the bedroom to my husband holding the babies up, perched on his hand like some sort of redneck Disney princess, just to get my own little guy and take him outside to join the others. I will keep you updated if we find more. Hopefully the last update. We have been keeping an ear out, but I believe there was only 5. We just gave them all to the rehabber and, as expected, consoled my daughter because she wanted to keep them. I think my husband low-key did too. We know there can be up to 13, so we'll be on alert for the next few days and we'll let you know if we find more, but as of now I think we're closing down our opossum daycare. Thanks for all the comments and the assistance with how to take of the Joeys. Story 10. Today I messed up by eating a nearly fully raw Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich. I was really busy all day doing intense yard work, and on my way back from Home Depot decided to stop off for a rare, delicious fast food treat because all that work had made me hungry like the wolf. I ordered a spicy chicken sandwich at the drive-thru, but it was taking a really long time, and they made me pull forward to wait for them to bring it out to my car. When it arrived, I was starving. I started eating it really fast, which was already stupid because it was blazing hot lava and clearly had come straight from the fryer seconds earlier. I wolfed it down while driving, not looking until I had exactly 1 bit left. I looked, it was fully raw aside from the outer crust. But that's not all. Today I messed up worse by trying to induce vomiting. I dry heaved violently and incredibly loudly until my throat was sore, my eyes were totally red, and sorry, this is gross, spit out some blood. No puke though. I'm just not good at puking. I called poison control and they said just take fluids, and if I start puking, go to the doctor and they'll tell me if I have a viral issue or a bacterial issue. Fun! I photographed and saved the last bite of chicken in the freezer so that my wife can at least sue Wendy's when I die. Pray for me. Pray for my butt. Symptoms will start in 23 to 48 hours most likely. TLDR. I ate a spicy chicken sandwich really fast and realized at the last bite it was almost fully raw. Edit. To those calling this fiction, nope. I really am this stupid and gluttonous. https://imager.com/egcuvua. If it was this raw on the edge, the middle must have been worse, right? Edit. To those shocked, I called poison control. I also realized this is funny. I'm not actually scared I'm gonna die, but I figured I could either Google whether I was gonna get sick or needed to go to urgent care and get 20 different, probably wrong answers from Google, or I could call them and have the right answer in 2 minutes. Still glad I did. Edit. If there's a Wendy's employee out there. How? Why? WHYYYY.